Welcome back. This video will explain how to set up your insurance payers. From the home screen, we're going to click the second dot right here, and then we see the assigned physicians and assigned payers. Well, in this case, we'll work with the payers, insurance payers, and instead of clicking this icon here, which is a gear, we're going to click the paper pencil icon, which takes us to an area where we see an individual payer. And in this case, I see a total of 2,473 payers. I can slide back and forth with this slider. I can go forward or backwards. I can use these tools just to get through my payers. But perhaps it's going to be easiest to look at this group as a list. So we're going to do that in just a moment. While we're on the screen, though, let's take a look at what may be important as far as a payer is concerned. It's critical that you have a payer lookup code. Otherwise, if you don't have the lookup code, then you can't actually assign a payer. They won't show up in the drop-down list of choices. So make sure you have a unique payer code for each payer. I should also say that we already have 2,473 payers in here or thereabouts, and chances are that you'll be able to use the payer list that we have, but you'll certainly be able to add a new payer to your system. Doing so is real easy. You just click the new button right here and it'll give you a new blank record just like that. So a new code can be entered just like that. By default, the status of the payer is going to be active because that makes sense, and then you'd enter your payer company name and all that information. Let's go back to a previous one, and we have a payer company name here with a maximum of 40 digits. A contact may be helpful, but it's very important that you put the 5-digit payer ID right here in the upper right. That 5-digit ID is stored or shared automatically to the CMS 1500 form. So please make sure you have that appropriate ID there. You may have to do a search on the internet if you're not sure what that code is for a payer that's not listed in our pre-populated payers. The claim preference is, it's not that you can't ever change this, but this is the standard default. So for this insurance company, you may say that they generally prefer claims by e-billing. I think the rest of it is somewhat self-explanatory. The payer's street address, their first, second, or third address, their zip postal code, city, state, country, etc., their phone number, and some other information down here. Now let's go ahead and look at this group as a list. And right now, again, I have a little under 2,500 records. You can see the columns at the top show me that this is the status area, the provider or payer code. I understand that the word provider may cause some confusion, but years ago that's what we started with, and we really can't change that. So we do call that a provider code at the top here, but we understand that that's an insurance payer, not the audiologist dispenser. The ID, that's that 5-digit ID I discussed earlier, the company, etc. And you can scroll over to the far right to see the rest of that information. Of course, you don't really have to put in the street address if you're not going to be sending a claim to them, printing it out and sending it by mail. If you're doing electronic billing, a 5-digit payer ID is generally sufficient. So as I look down this list, it may be kind of overwhelming because there's so many choices in here. So what you can do is you could narrow down the list of choices to just those that you want. Here's what I mean. Under this second dot here, when I click into a field, I see 2,400 choices. Now it's easy enough just to click the letter R and go to the first record that starts with R, or BL, we'll go to the first BL. I was hoping to find Blue Cross Blue Shield, etc. So it may be BS or BC or whatever it is. So I don't know how many I have in here, but you get the idea. Just clicking the letter on your keyboard will go right to that. But that's still a large number of payers to search through. So let's go back here and go to our payer list. I think it could have gone right to the payer list with that other button. But I want to show you how you can isolate a group and just make all the others inactive. So for example, if I want to find, I'm going to click the magnifying glass at the top middle. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing up there. I'm going to click Find, and that places the program into Find, Search, or Query mode. Blanks out the screen and essentially asks me what I want to find. Well, I want to find all companies that start with, I'll spell it right in just a minute here, start with New York or have New York in their name. But that may not be enough because some of the companies may have NY instead. So I'm going to add a new request. That means I'm going to add an additional. I want either this or add a new request, NY. Now, it is true that you may have a company that's outside of New York that somehow uses the word New York or NY in their title, but that's okay. It's worth trying. So we're going to now perform the find on these 2 request criteria. And it pulls up 36 records out of 2,474 that match that criteria. You can sort or arrange them if necessary by any one of these. For example, here we have a Blue Shield of Western New York. If you want that alphabetized that way, then you can just sort the column by clicking the slightly invisible triangle there and sorting them there. So now I have 36 records. They're all active anyway. But what we want to do is now take all of those that are active and we want to deactivate them. So actually I have one here that says inactive. I noticed here I just said they're all active, but some of them were marked red. I should have noticed that. I'm going to mark all of those active, and I could have just clicked this button right here. Let me show you what I mean. Let's make a few of them inactive here. And rather than going through and clicking every one, I'm going to click Mark Found, the found set, active. It asks me if I'd like to. Yes, I would. And bang, they're all done at once. In the same way, I want to mark all of the other ones inactive, and I certainly don't want to do that 2,400 times. So to do that, I'm going to click the pie chart, the circle up here, and you might know that doing so will toggle between my current found set and the opposite of my found set, everything except my found set. So now I see by clicking that pie chart, I can toggle back and forth. 2,438 are not New York or NY, 36 of them are. So I have my 2,438. I'm going to now click a different button that says Mark Found Payers Inactive. So let's do that. It asks me if I want to, yes. And now it says, now all of these are marked inactive. So that makes it real fast. And let's go back to that area right here under the second dot. Now it's a lot smaller, this drop-down list of choices, and that might be more appropriate for your needs. So there's a button right here. Let's see, that's a shortcut to be able to view as a list right there. And one of the buttons, you can look at some of the buttons on here. I suppose I should talk to you about them. One of them is go to the payer details screen, and that's going to show whichever payer I was on, but give me a lot more information than I might actually see on one screen here. So a list view or a table view gives you quite a bit more in the number of records you're looking at or number of payers. But the details screen, one record at a time, one payer at a time, but I've got a lot more information here that I could put on there. So be sure to make them active, make sure that you have a unique code, and that's how you'll set up your payers. Thanks for watching.